A strange discovery. HFY Sci-Fi story. The night was cold on the edge of the colony world called New Dawn. The wind moved through the wide golden fields, and only one farmhouse had its light still burning. Inside that house lived a quiet man named Eli, a farmer who worked alone since the war had taken his family years ago. He was not rich, not strong, but he had a kind heart. The kind that still believed in hope even when the galaxy had forgotten it. That night, Eli's old radar screen began to blink. A strange signal came from the north field, far beyond his crops. He looked out the window and saw a small line of smoke cutting through the dark sky. Falling fast, then came the sound, soft but heavy. Like thunder hiding behind the clouds, he grabbed his coat, took his flashlight, and started walking through the cold dirt path. Everyone in the nearby village knew strange things, sometimes fell from the stars. Old satellites, broken drones, even alien junk from forgotten wars. But something about this signal felt different. It was not mechanical, it pulsed like a heartbeat. When Eli reached the crash site, the air smelled of burned metal and ozone. A small silver pod lay half buried in the ground. Still glowing blue from inside, he felt fear and curiosity at the same time. People always said, never touch anything that falls from the sky. But Eli was not the kind of man who turned away from someone or something in need. He placed his hand on the pod's surface. It was warm, almost alive. Then a faint sound came from inside. A small cry, weak and scared. Eli froze. It wasn't a machine, it was a voice slowly. The pod opened with a hiss of steam. Inside, lying on glowing threads, was a small alien child. No older than 8. Her skin was pale silver. Her hair like white fire and her eyes, closed tight, glowed faintly blue beneath the lids. For a long moment, Eli just stood there. Not knowing what to do, she was breathing fast, shivering. Something in his heart moved, something that told him this child wasn't dangerous. She was lost. He picked her up gently, wrapping his jacket around her. She was light, too light. And as he carried her back through the dark, the stars above flickered strangely as if someone was watching by morning. Word had spread across the colony. The villagers came to his gate, shouting warnings and insults. Eli's gone mad. One man said he brought an alien into his house. Another woman shouted, that thing could infect us all. They threw stones at his fence, but Eli said nothing. He only looked down at the small child sleeping on his couch, her body glowing softly under the blanket. When the colony guards arrived, they scanned the pod and stepped back, frightened. This tech isn't human, one of them said. It's not even from this part of the galaxy. But Eli refused to give her up. She's not a weapon, he said calmly. She's a child. The guards warned him that he was breaking galactic safety laws. But Eli didn't care. He had already buried too many children in his lifetime. He wouldn't lose another one, not like this. Days passed and the girl began to open her eyes. When she saw Eli, she didn't scream or hide. She just looked at him with a strange sadness and said one word in a broken voice. Home, Eli smiled. Yes, he said softly. You're home now. But strange things began happening after that. Machines that were broken for months started working again when she walked near them. The fields glowed greener, the soil richer, the weather calmer. At night, lights flickered in the sky above his farm, tiny silver drones. Moving fast, scanning, searching. Someone or something was looking for her. The colony council called Eli to a meeting. They told him the Galactic Authority wanted the girl for containment and study. They warned him that if he didn't hand her over, he could lose his land, maybe even be arrested. But Eli looked at the stars and said only, she's under my roof and she's safe here. I won't let you take her. That night, while he sat by the fire, the girl walked to the window and stared at the dark sky. Her eyes shimmered with light as she whispered words he couldn't understand. Outside, the wind grew still, and in that silence, a faint hum filled the air. A warning signal echoed from far above the atmosphere. Something ancient had just detected her presence, and somewhere deep in space, a fleet began to move. Eli didn't know it yet. But the small child he saved from a crash wasn't just an alien. She was the spark of something much greater, a being created for war, but touched by the kindness of a single human heart. And the galaxy that once ignored his small lonely farm was about to remember his name. Because soon, the stars would come looking. The hidden power. HFY Sci-Fi story days turned into weeks, and Eli's small farmhouse no longer felt empty. The alien girl, whom he named Mira, followed him everywhere. She helped feed the animals, fixed broken drones, and smiled whenever the morning sun touched her face. Her laughter was soft, almost musical, like wind chimes in warm air. But Eli noticed things that no one could explain. When Mira touched a broken tool, it started working again. When she walked through the field, plants grew faster and stronger. Sometimes at night, she would look at the stars and whisper words no human could understand. And each time she did, something in the sky seemed to answer. Soft lights blinking in far orbit. It was as if she was calling to something, or something was calling to her. The villagers watched from a distance. Whispering in fear, they said Eli had brought a curse, that his farm was now haunted by alien spirits. Even his old friend Tom, the engineer, came to warn him. "Eli, you don't know what she is," Tom said quietly. The scanners showed energy around her, energy not even the authority can read. But Eli only smiled. "She's a child, Tom, not a weapon." Still deep inside, even Eli could feel the truth was more complicated. One night he woke to find Mira standing outside, her eyes glowing bright blue. She raised her hands toward the sky, and the air shimmered like glass. A beam of light spread across the clouds, showing thousands of strange symbols moving like living stars. Eli ran to her, shouting her name. The light vanished instantly, and she turned toward him, trembling. I didn't mean to," she whispered. "It just happens when I dream." The next morning, loud engines echoed over the valley. A group of Galactic Authority officers landed in black transports. They carried scanners and weapons, their faces cold and metallic under their helmets. Their leader, a woman with silver armor, stepped forward. "By Galactic Code Section 44, she said, "you are ordered to surrender the alien specimen for examination." Eli stood in front of Mira, his old farming rifle in hand. "She's no specimen," he said. "She's my daughter." The officer's eyes flashed red for a moment, scanning them both. "Your compassion will destroy you." "Human," she replied before leaving. She whispered to her team, "Mark this planet." Her signals confirmed. That night, the wind turned strange. The stars above seemed brighter, but wrong, like they were moving too slowly. In the sky, faint silver dots appeared, ships, far beyond the clouds, orbiting silently. Mira looked up and said softly, "They found me." Eli felt a chill. "Who?" "My people," she said. "They made me, but I'm not like them anymore." Her voice shook as she explained. She remembered flashes, machines, voices, pain, and endless fire. She was part of something called Project Vera, a program that created living weapons able to bend energy and matter. She was sent away before the war ended, sealed in that escape pod. Now the ones who built her were coming to take her back or erase her. Eli listened, confused and frightened, but he didn't let go of her hand. "You're not their weapon," he said firmly. "You're Mira, my girl." For the first time, she smiled through tears, and at that moment, something strange happened again. The ground trembled. The machines around the farm powered up by themselves. Old defense turrets that hadn't worked for years suddenly hummed with life. A glowing mark appeared on Mira's arm, a symbol of energy and code shifting like light inside her skin. Miles away in the colony's control tower, alarms began to sound. Unidentified power surge detected. Planetary grid fluctuating. Military satellites picked up a massive energy source forming near Eli's farm. The Galactic Authority sent urgent orders. Containment required immediately. But before they could act, the alien fleet appeared. Hundreds of sleek, silver ships broke through hyperspace above the planet. They formed a line across the sky, black against the moonlight. The colony panicked, signals jammed, comms died, and from the largest ship came a deep, echoing voice. "Return the child known as Mira. She belongs to the Dominion." Eli looked up at the burning sky. He could feel the air shaking from the power of their engines. He turned to Mira, who stood silently, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "I won't let them take you," he said. She looked at him, sadness in her face. "They don't understand," she whispered. "I'm not what they think I am. But if they come, I'll have to show them." In that moment, the stars above flickered again, and from far away, humanity's border fleet received the distress call. Unknown alien armada detected near New Dawn colony. Energy readings off the scale. Possible superweapon detected. Human admirals stared at the screen in silence, because that superweapon had a human name now. Her name was Mira, and the galaxy was about to learn what happens when kindness creates power. The Return of the Enemy. HFY Sci-Fi story. The next sunrise on New Dawn was not peaceful. The sky above the colony burned red from the light of the alien fleet. Hundreds of ships floated in silence, forming a dark wall across the stars. The air itself felt heavy, like the planet was holding its breath. Inside the farmhouse, Eli stood by the window. Watching the glowing horizon beside him, Mira sat quietly, her hands pressed together, eyes shining faint blue. She looked older now, more focused, as if the child in her was slowly fading into something greater. The Galactic Authority arrived first. Dozens of armored transports surrounded the farm, soldiers pointing rifles at the small house. A tall woman in a golden uniform stepped out, her voice cold. By council order, the alien specimen known as Mira must be surrendered immediately. Eli didn't move, his face calm but tired. "She's not a specimen," he said. "She's my daughter." The officer narrowed her eyes. "She is not human, farmer. She's a threat to the balance of the galaxy." Before Eli could answer, a new sound filled the sky. A deep metallic roar that shook the ground. A beam of white light descended from orbit and formed a massive hologram above the valley. An alien figure appeared, tall with silver armor and burning yellow eyes. Its voice thundered like a storm. "Human colony, you are in possession of our creation, the weapon called Vera 13. Return her or face destruction." The soldiers stepped back in fear. Even the Galactic officer looked pale, whispering, "Vera 13. That name is forbidden." Mira stepped outside, her small feet pressing softly on the dirt. The wind moved through her hair as she looked up at the alien image. Her voice was calm but filled with sadness. "I'm not your weapon anymore," she said. "You made me to destroy, but I found something better." The alien commander's eyes glowed brighter. "You were made to bring order through fire. You were designed to end chaos. You belong to us." Mira shook her head slowly. "No, I belong where love exists." At that moment, the alien fleet began to move. Massive warships positioned themselves above the colony. Energy cannons charging, panic spread across every city. Ships tried to evacuate, signals jammed. The Galactic Authority prepared to retreat, leaving the planet behind. But humanity's border fleet had already heard the distress call. Across hyperspace, human battleships jumped in one after another. Gray metal giants carrying the flag of Earth. Admiral Rains, aboard the HSS Resolute, looked at the enemy fleet through the main screen. He had seen wars before, but never like this. Sensors screamed warnings. Power levels from those alien ships were off every chart. Yet when he saw the signal from the planet, a strange energy linked to a small farmhouse, he whispered. "So this is what they're afraid of." One little girl, back on the surface. Eli turned to Mira. "Mira, you have to hide," he said. "They'll kill everyone to get you." She smiled gently, a tear sliding down her silver cheek. "I can't hide anymore, Eli. If I run, they'll follow. If I stay, maybe I can end it." He shook his head, voice breaking. "You're just a child." She touched his hand, and suddenly he could see flashes, flames, galaxies, and thousands of voices crying out from distant stars. "I was a weapon," she said softly, "but you made me human. You gave me choice. Now I'll choose to protect." Before Eli could speak, the sky exploded in light. The first alien strike hit the colony mountains, turning stone into molten rivers. Human ships rose to defend, firing beams of plasma, missiles streaking through the clouds. But for every alien ship destroyed, two more appeared. The balance was clear. Humanity could not win this fight alone. Mira walked toward the center of the field, her eyes glowing like burning stars. The air around her vibrated as symbols of light spiraled around her arms. Eli shouted her name, but she didn't stop. She looked up, raised her hand, and whispered a single word in a language older than time. The clouds tore apart, lightning struck from every direction, and a pulse of energy spread across the atmosphere. All scanners on human and alien ships suddenly froze, every system locked by an unknown signal. Every screen displayed one name: Mira from the alien flagship. Their commander screamed, "She's activating the core protocol. Stop her!" But it was too late. Her body began to rise into the air, energy flowing from her like waves of light. Every human ship powered up automatically, their weapons synchronizing to her heartbeat. Every alien cannon flickered and died, their power drained away as if the universe itself had chosen sides. Admiral Rains watched in silence. His voice trembled as he said, "My God, she's linking with us on the ground." Eli fell to his knees, eyes filled with both pride and terror. He realized Mira wasn't fighting for revenge. She was fighting to protect him, to protect all of them. But every pulse of energy weakened her. Her skin cracked with light, her voice echoing like wind through stars. When the last alien ship retreated into hyperspace, Mira collapsed to the ground. Her glow fading, Eli ran to her, holding her in his arms. She smiled weakly, whispering, "It's over, Eli." For now. Above them, the human fleet remained silent. The battlefield was quiet, and in that silence, the galaxy realized something new had been born. Not a weapon, not a machine, but a defender with a human heart. The battle for Earthkind, HFY Sci-Fi story. The planet New Dawn was half burned, half alive. The sky still glowed red from the retreating fleet. But everyone knew the war wasn't finished in the silence after the first battle. Strange signals moved through space. The enemy was gathering more forces, stronger ones, far beyond the moon line. Inside the ruined farmhouse, Eli sat beside Mira's still body. Her skin no longer silver, now pale like moonlight. Machines around her flickered with tiny sparks, her energy bleeding slowly into everything near her. He held her hand, whispering, "You saved them all, Mira. Please wake up." Then the door opened and Admiral Rain stepped inside, armor dusty from battle. He looked at Eli, then at the faintly glowing girl. "She's not human," he said softly, "but she saved our entire fleet. That makes her one of us." Eli nodded weakly. "They'll come again, won't they?" The Admiral sighed. "They already have. Our sensors show a second wave, 10 times larger. Maybe more." In orbit, human ships reformed their lines. Damaged hulls patched by emergency drones. Pilots whispered stories about the Light Child, the alien girl who stopped the first attack with a single word. Some called her the Guardian, others the Miracle of New Dawn. Even soldiers who had never met her painted her symbol, 2 crossing beams of light on their armor plates. Down on the planet, thunder rolled through the clouds. Mira's body started to move, her eyes slowly opening. "Eli," she whispered, voice trembling like static in the air. "They're coming again." Eli smiled through tears. Then we faced them together. Outside, energy crackled through the ground. The colony's broken defense grid, once useless scrap, suddenly powered up. Old towers straightened, cannons rotated, and glowing shields rose like blue glass walls around every city. Mira stepped forward, her feet leaving soft prints of light on the soil. She raised her hands and the entire defense system responded to her will. Admiral Rains watched from orbit as readings exploded across his screen. "Power output beyond calculation," his officer shouted. Mira's voice came through every comm channel, clear and gentle. "Humans of Earthkind, you gave me home. Now I will give you safety." Then the stars turned black. Thousands of alien warships broke through hyperspace, filling the void. Their weapons glowed like dying suns, their formation endless from their flagship. A metallic voice thundered, "Return the weapon or your species will burn." Rains clenched his fists. "Send this reply," he said. "Earthkind doesn't return family." The second war began. Alien beams tore through the shields, shaking continents. Human dreadnoughts answered with plasma storms. The void between stars became fire. Yet even with all their courage, humanity was still outnumbered on the ground. Mira's glow brightened until the sky itself reflected her light. She linked her energy with the entire planetary core. Mountains trembled, rivers froze mid-wave. Air shimmered like glass. Eli shouted, "Mira, stop. You'll destroy yourself." But she smiled, her voice calm. "I was built to destroy, Eli, but now I choose what to save." She stretched her arms toward the heavens. Columns of pure light rose from the planet's surface, each one a beam of condensed energy guided by her heartbeat. They shot upward, slicing through the alien armada like blades of the sun. Explosions bloomed across the dark sky, silent and beautiful. The entire fleet began to break apart, ships colliding, power fading. In the Galactic Council's deep stations far away, old leaders watched the live feed in shock. One whispered, "That's not a weapon. That's a god born of kindness, back on New Dawn." Mira's strength began to fade, her body cracked with light, every pulse weaker than before. Eli ran through the smoke, catching her as she fell, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't cry, Eli. This is what I was meant to do." Above them, the remaining alien ships retreated. Their commander looked at the burning world below and whispered in fear, "The weapon has chosen humanity." Then the stars swallowed them. Leaving silence, Eli looked at Mira, tears on his face. "You're not just my daughter," he said softly. "You're humanity's heart," Mira smiled faintly. "Tell them, love is the strongest weapon." Her body turned into light, rising slowly until it dissolved into the clouds. When dawn came again, every system on the planet glowed softly. Machines powered by nothing known. Crops blooming overnight, and across the human fleet, a message appeared on every screen, defended by Mira, always. The Legacy of the Defender. HFY Sci-Fi story. Years passed since the Battle of New Dawn. The scars of war still marked the land, yet everywhere life grew stronger. Where the bombs had fallen, now forests rose, glowing faintly under the starlight. The farmers said the soil had changed, it healed itself, and people whispered, "Mira still watches." Eli's old farmhouse had become a monument. Children came from far colonies to see it, to touch the door where the first alien child had slept, and in the sky above, a single bright star glowed every night, brighter than all the rest. People called it Mira's light, whenever danger came close. It flickered once as if warning them. The Galactic Council could no longer deny the truth. They once feared humanity, called them reckless, emotional, unfit for the stars. But after Mira's sacrifice, they changed. They sent envoys to Earth, not to control, but to learn. They studied how a small act of kindness, one farmer saving one child, had rewritten the destiny of empires. Humanity, too, changed. They united their scattered colonies under one banner, the Earthkind Accord. Its symbol was simple, a child's hand holding a star. Every human ship now carried a small crystal in its heart, a shard from the light that Mira left behind. It powered their defenses, healed their wounded, and glowed whenever humans acted in compassion. But for Eli, peace never felt easy. He still lived in that farmhouse. Older now, his hair white, his hands shaking. Every morning he talked to the empty chair across the table, and every night he walked outside, looked at the glowing sky, and whispered, "Good night, Mira." One evening, a soft sound echoed through the air, a familiar hum, gentle and warm, like the first time he found that small pod in his field. Eli looked up and saw lights descending from the clouds, tiny silver drones forming shapes in the sky, and from them came a soft voice, "Eli." He froze, tears already in his eyes. "Mira," he whispered. The lights gathered together, forming a faint outline, a girl made of pure light, smiling softly. "I never left," she said. "I became part of everything you see." Eli reached out his trembling hand, though he knew he couldn't touch her. "You did it, Mira," he said, voice breaking. "You saved them all." Her glowing figure nodded. "And you saved me first," she replied gently. As they spoke, far above them in the deep void of space, humanity's fleet moved again. Explorers traveling into new galaxies on every ship. The systems whispered with her energy, guiding, protecting, warning. Some claimed they heard a voice in the static, "Be kind, and the stars will remember your name in time." New civilizations joined humanity's alliance. Even those who once hunted Mira's kind came seeking peace. They built shrines in her name, not as a god, but as a symbol of hope. They called her the defender who chose love over war, and every generation of children learned her story, that the greatest power in the universe was not strength, not weapons, not fear, but compassion. Eli passed away one spring morning, peacefully under the rising sun. When people found him, he was sitting by the window, smiling at the sky. Outside, the crops were shining gold, and a gentle wind whispered through the fields, carrying a voice no one could hear except his soul. "Welcome home." After that day, a strange event happened. Every starship of Earthkind received a sudden burst of light from the far edges of the galaxy. It formed a new constellation, shaped like a girl holding the Earth in her arms. Scientists tried to explain it, but the people already knew. It was Mira, still watching, still guarding, still loving. And so the legend spread from one world to another, from one generation to the next, of the alien girl who became human, of the farmer who showed the galaxy what kindness meant. And whenever someone in the dark whispered her name, the stars above flickered softly, as if the universe itself smiled back, because in the end, humanity's greatest defender was never born from war. She was born from love.